Micron just posted their worst quarter in a decade, and it's not because demand for AI chips is slowing down. It's the exact opposite. The problem is way darker than that. Let me explain what's actually happening inside the chip industry right now, because this affects every AI product you're going to use in the next 5 years. So here's the surface-level story everyone's telling. AI is exploding. Everyone needs more chips. Chip makers are printing money. NVIDIA's stock is up 900%. Samsung and SK Hynix are ramping production. Sounds great, right? But Micron, one of the world's 3 biggest memory chip manufacturers, just reported earnings that shocked Wall Street. Their revenue dropped. Profit margins got crushed. And their guidance was weak. If AI demand is so hot, why is one of the biggest chip makers in the world getting destroyed? The answer is overcapacity, and it's about to get a lot worse. Let me back up. There are 2 kinds of chips that matter for AI. Processors, like NVIDIA's GPUs, and memory. Memory is the unglamorous middle child nobody talks about. It's DRAM and NAND flash. When you run an AI model, it needs memory to hold all that data while it's processing. More powerful models, more memory needed. Bigger models, more chips sold. Simple math. So in 2023, when ChatGPT went nuclear and everyone realized AI was real, chip makers panicked. The good kind of panic. They all said, we need to build more memory capacity right now. Micron, Samsung, SK Hynix, Intel, TSMC, all of them started massive capital expenditure programs. Billions of dollars. New fabs, new equipment, new workers. The plan was straightforward. Build now, sell later, make huge margins while supply is tight. Except something went wrong. The supply didn't stay tight. Here's why. First, the big cloud companies, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, they all build their own chips now, or they're partnering with manufacturers to customize them. They're not buying off-the-shelf memory like they used to. They're negotiating directly with Samsung and SK Hynix, getting better deals, locking in long-term contracts. Micron doesn't have those direct relationships the way the others do. So their market share is shrinking in the segment that's actually growing. Second, and this is the killer, everyone overbuilt. All at once. In 2023 and 2024, every memory manufacturer looked at the same AI demand forecast and said, we need 40% more capacity. They all did it simultaneously, which means in 2024 and 2025, supply is flooding the market. Prices are crashing. When supply exceeds demand, margins get obliterated. That's basic economics. And it's happening right now. Third, and this is the part that keeps chip executives up at night, generative AI isn't consuming as much memory as they expected. A lot of the hype was about training massive models. But training only happens once. After that, you just run inference, which is way cheaper and uses way less memory. Companies spent billions building chips for a training boom that's already mostly over. Now they're stuck with excess capacity and no one to sell it to. So here's what's really panicking them. This overcapacity cycle is structural. It's not going away in 6 months. Fabs take years to build. Once you've built the capacity, you have to run it or eat the cost. You can't just flip a switch and make half your factory disappear. So chip makers are caught between 2 bad options. Keep producing at low margins to try to maintain market share, or cut production and watch their utilization rates crater, which tanks their profitability anyway. Micron's in the worst position because they're the smallest of the big 3 memory makers. Samsung and SK Hynix have other business segments, displays, consumer electronics, that can absorb losses while they wait this out. Micron is almost entirely dependent on memory, so when memory prices drop, Micron gets hit the hardest. Now, here's the thing that matters for you. This doesn't mean AI is slowing down. AI demand is still growing. The problem is that chip makers built so much supply that growth can't keep up. It's like if every bakery in the city suddenly doubled their oven capacity at the same time. There's still demand for bread, but now bread is cheap and nobody's making money. What happens next? A few scenarios. 1. Some of these chip makers start consolidating. Smaller players like Micron get absorbed or die. 2. They pivot to AI-specific memory. Higher margins, more specialized, harder to compete on. 3. They wait it out and let margin compression squeeze weaker competitors until supply and demand rebalance. That takes 2, maybe 3 years. But here's the secret that Wall Street doesn't want to admit. The golden age of chipmaker profit margins is probably over. For the next few years, we're in a commoditization phase. Chips are getting cheaper, supply is plentiful, and companies like Micron have to figure out how to survive on razor-thin margins while they wait for the next cycle. The irony? This is actually good for AI development. Cheaper chips means more companies can afford to build AI systems. Means more competition. Means innovation speeds up because it's not gate-kept by people who can afford million-dollar GPU clusters. But for investors and chip makers, especially the vulnerable ones like Micron, it's a brutal environment. So the real story isn't that AI demand is slowing. It's that the chip industry overbuilds so aggressively that they've essentially commoditized their own products. They solved the supply problem so hard that they created a demand problem. And now they're panicking because nobody warned them that solving a shortage by flooding the market with supply would hurt their margins more than the shortage ever did. If you want to actually understand what's happening in AI beyond the hype cycle, the real structural shifts, the money moves, the problems that nobody's talking about, subscribe. I break down one of these every few days, and this stuff matters way more than whatever the latest ChatGPT update is.